Hey, what's up? It's Dean Soto with Prosulum.com, Prosulum.com, and we're here with another video. Today's topic is this. Time is your most valuable resource. It is actually the scarcest resource. That more coming up. All right, so I forgot my stabilizer, so it's gonna be really bouncy because I don't want to sit in front of the camera and just, stand there and teach. You should do this, you should do that. So I'm actually gonna walk a little bit. I'm gonna walk into one of the offices that I go and work in sometimes. But anyway, I'm gonna talk a little bit about this topic. It's interesting because this came up as a result. I know I did a video on this before, but I'm gonna do it again because the wife yesterday got sick, and that bled into this morning, which meant that yesterday and today was pretty much shot when it came to working. But the cool thing is that everything kept going as planned. In fact, I I had some inbound leads coming in. I had inbound leads coming in, had some sales calls that I was able to do in between taking care of the kids. But most importantly, I got to spend time with my children, which is pretty cool. I love being able to do that, right? There's a heavy focus on financial freedom. There's a heavy focus on financial freedom, right? Everyone talks about it, especially with the gurus. It's always talking about, quit your day job, quit your 9-to-5, all that other stuff, right? And there's a big thing to that. I'm not downplaying that at all. Ever since I left my full-time job, things have been tough, but I would never, it's actually really hard to even think about going back to a full-time position. It's very difficult. I don't think I could even get myself to update my resume. That in itself just feels so painful. But here's what's more important. Peter Drucker, who he was a very popular management consultant, and he had a book, The Effective Executive. And in that book, he talks about the scarcest resource. And a lot of the times, people think that your scarcest resource is money. Well, here's the deal, is that it usually is not. Even though it seems like it. A lot of the times it feels like it, right? It feels like it's the most scarce because sometimes we don't have it. And that's what we're trying to get. But in fact, the most scarce resource is your time. And it's your time, it's scarce because no matter what you're doing, no matter what you are doing or what resource you have at your disposal, time is the only one that you can never get back, right? So the more that you can manage your time, and I don't even like to say manage, but this is what he says, the more that you have to be able to manage your time, otherwise you cannot manage anything else. Now you have to think that he was a management consultant, so he's speaking to managers of large organizations, not necessarily owners of businesses. And so when you own a business, one of the cool things that you have, one of the best things that you have actually at your disposal, especially as a smaller business, small to medium-sized business, you have an advantage over the C-level executive. The C-level executive is generally still an employee, right? Generally still has to clock in 9-to-5, generally still has to be available to fly all over the place and do things. Whereas you as a small business owner or the medium-sized business owner can put systems in place in which your time is not managed, but it's freed, right? It's freed. You don't have to manage it because it's always there available for the most part. So with my wife being sick, getting this flu that just completely knocked her out for a day and a half, there was nothing really that I had to change. I didn't have to tell my staff, hey, I'm not going to be available for those hours. They literally had no idea that any of this was going on. They had no idea whatsoever that my wife was sick and that I was not going to be available at some point in time, because there are already systems in place and they already know exactly what to be doing, so that that time is always available. Always. It's always available. Always there. because those systems are in place, because the processes are in place, I can step away as a business owner, and you could step away as a business owner, and you are available to I don't know how you would say it, but literally you're just in creation mode all the time. So like for now, right now, what am I going to do? What I'm going to do when I go in there is I'm actually going to talk with my aunt, who is a realtor. She helped us get our house a while back, about 2 years ago. And she's going to be helping me do some creative financing for some things that I want to do, some investments. And I'm going to go in there, do that, and what I'm going to end up doing is start doing things for my customers, like sending gifts and so on to some of my best customers. I was listening to a Gary Vaynerchuk talk, and he kind of kicked me in the balls and was like, what are you doing for your best customers? And I had all these automations and things like that, but I actually want to be a little bit more personal. So I want to go in there and start seeing what my customers actually like and start sending some gifts in the mail. You know, 50 bucks here, 100 bucks there, it goes a long way. And these are customers who are already referring me, already happy, right? But the time is there to do that. Do I have to do it? No. Is it important? Yes. Is it urgent? No. But it's something that, because the time is readily available, it's not managed. It's not managed. It is readily available. There is always the potential to do things that are extremely high value, right? Or to spend time with the family, or to go on a trip, or to go sledding because there's a ton of snow right now, right next to where we live. So what's the point? Why is this important? It's important because right now you might be focusing so much on money. You might be focusing a lot on how can I get more capital, when the focus a lot of the times needs to be how can I get more time. And this is something that I only had one person, probably out of 20 people that I've told, do this. I've only had one person. You'll probably see him in one of the podcasts, in Freedom in 5 Minutes podcast, upcoming, because I'm going to go meet him. But I've only had one person actually take me up on this, and it was tremendous for them. This person worked as a coach, and they would get paid for every I believe half hour, every hour that they coached these individuals by this overall organization. Well, here's the thing, is that when you manage time, you can multiply your salary very quickly. So this person, I told him, hey, look, right now you're overwhelmed. He had like 70 coaching clients. And I want to say he was making about $30,000 to $40,000 per year. I said, look, their particular organization started using a virtual assistant from my company. And I said, look, if you do this, you will triple your income. or double your income, and you will work less. So essentially what I said was, do a couple videos showing exactly how you're coaching these people, and then set up things ahead of time, because what was happening was before the meetings and after the meetings, he was spending pretty much an additional hour or two doing notes and getting information, and even on the calls there was a ton of information that was being gathered. So I said, look, gather all this information, or do all these videos showing how you're doing what you're doing. The virtual assistant is going to document all of it, and also just put things in place ahead of time to gather all this information that's needed, and then afterward they'll do the notes. Okay, so the long and the short is, what took him an hour and a half to 2 hours to do per person, it was 70 people per month, dropped down to about a half hour. So that's a quarter of what he was doing before, right? A quarter of what he was doing before. And what that meant was, he was able to take on more clients, and he spent less time. At the end, he was doing about 120, 130 clients, and was working half the time, right? So essentially just time-based, he not only almost doubled his income from the amount of clients he could take on, but time-wise, he cut it in half. So he was doing triple or quadruple the amount of revenue per how much actual time he was putting in. And I've only had one person do this. I've mentioned this to many, many, many people in the past who have a sales job, or they have a job where they work remotely, and I'm like, dude, just get a virtual assistant, and you're gonna free up your time to where you are hardly working, and you can go do something else. and not a lot of people do it because of the focus on money. But if I have a $120,000 an hour job, and I can outsource that, a lot of those tasks, if I'm remote, if I can outsource a lot of those tasks where I'm only working half the time, and they're getting an immense, the actual organization's getting an immense amount of value, more value than they were getting before, then it's a win-win. It's a win-win, because now I have, rather than 40 hours a week working, I have 20 hours working, and I have 20 hours to do whatever I want on the side, right? I've essentially doubled my income just because of time. So what are you doing right now? Are you focused more heavily on time, or are you focused more heavily on the on the finances, on getting money and getting cash and so on? I challenge you, at least in some aspect of your life, to focus more on time. How can you cut the time of what you're doing down so that you have more? Focus more on time. Just one thing. There might be one thing. It might be where you're able to delegate a specific thing to an employee. You're able to create some kind of process so where an employee can do it, and it's no longer where you are the bottleneck with it, and where you're spending the majority of that time. So where's that one thing? What is that one thing that you can do right now where you can have more time? Do that one thing, and I'd love to know in the comments, what that one thing is and what the result was, say a week after you implemented it. All right, so it's Dean Soto, Prosulum.com. Check that out, Prosulum.com, if you want a virtual assistant systems and process one, and I'll catch you in the next video. See ya.